Alrighty, y'all. Ignore the clicking of the fence shocker in the background here. So yesterday I went ahead and finished honing up the cylinders and was cleaning things up. I went ahead and pressure washed the engine, and I made a discovery that's a bit unfortunate, a bit unsettling, but it was a timely discovery nonetheless. If you take a look, let's see if I can get around to this. Give me just a second. Okay, if you look in the cylinder wall here on number 2, you can see kind of a stain that runs diagonally from the front of the block down towards the rear of the block. I thought it was a stain in the metal, but the more I honed, the more I realized, yeah, it would fade a little bit, but it's not going away. Yeah, it might be a little bit easier to see. And basically what that is, that's a crack. Okay, and the reason I say that's a crack is because on the opposite side of the water jacket and the lifter galley, there's a stain on that as well. I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, you can see the lifter galley right here. You see that stain right there. And on down, everything else is good. But that stain coincides with what looks like another crack right there. So there's a crack on either side of the water jacket for the number 2 cylinder. And there's nothing I can do about that. This was a $100 core motor that we were going to go ahead and try and save, and it's not worth it. Well, it can't be saved. I mean, normally you could go ahead and sleeve a cylinder if you had to, but with a crack on the opposite side of the water jacket into the lifter galley, there's no way. So the long and short of it is that that engine block is done. I found another motor about a half hour away. It's supposed to be a running motor. I'm still going to go ahead and go through it just like I was with this one. In all, that'll set me back $400, but in reality, it's a better investment. This was a gamble. The seller was forthright about it. He didn't know the history of it, but he did say that it was he did know that it had been in a, a Rednecks with Paychecks Jeep. And if you're not familiar with those guys, they get out here and play in the mud bog, this, that, and everything else. And I'm sure that motor was thrashed. 4-liter Jeep engines don't normally crack. Cylinder heads crack, that's common, especially on the later ones. I was expecting to go ahead and find sloppy connecting rods, but instead this is what I found. And you know, I knew there had to be a reason why the motor was pulled. I just couldn't go ahead and pin it down. When I took the bottom end apart, yeah, the rods, the bearings looked bad, but not horrible. They probably were making a little bit of noise, but this is clearly a crack in the block. I'm not even going to send it off to the machine shop. There's no point. The stains tell me enough that it's done. Such is life. So anyway, we'll continue on with this. Morning, y'all. Doing something a little bit different here this morning. Coming to you live, well, not live. Coming to you from the patrol car, talking about the Murphy motor. That's what I'm going to go ahead and call it. So my daughter's XJ's got 280 some odd thousand miles on it. We're the third owners. It's got some blow-by issues now. We bought it with 175,000 on it, and she's got many reliable years out of it, and she loves this vehicle. The body's good and solid. It's a good 4-wheel drive. It's an all-year vehicle for her. But like I said, it's got blow-by issues, and it's got a couple of cylinders now that have got low compression, so it's time. In order to go ahead and make things go smoothly, my plan was to go ahead and pick up just a used 4-liter Jeep engine and go ahead and go through it, freshen it up, you know, kind of a light rebuild on it. I've got cylinder head already rebuilt, had crank turned, went ahead and put new pistons on rods, was going to put just gonna go through, hone the cylinders and call it good. something she can go ahead and rely on for another 200,000 miles. And so yesterday I started going back through. I'd honed the cylinders once already, and I was gonna go ahead and clean things up, and decided to go back with the dingle ball hone and just give it another good whack before I decided to go, or give it another good whack before I went ahead and cleaned the engine block up. You know, washed it all down and everything. Once I had that done, I was gonna go ahead and put the crank in, put the new camshaft in, and start putting pistons in holes. And so yesterday afternoon, while I'm cleaning it up after the second honing, I had a nice good crosshatch pattern, hose it all down with degreaser and clean all the cylinders out, get rid of all the residue from cleaning or from honing cylinders out. And I noticed a unusual stain on the number 2 cylinder wall. I'm not a machinist, but I've seen cracked engine blocks. And so without taking this up to a machine shop and having it magnafluxed, I went ahead and did some more cleaning, and there's no doubt in my mind that the number 2 cylinder's cracked. I can't fault the guy that sold us the motor. He sold it to us in an unknown condition. He got it as a package deal with a truck that he picked up. So he was forthright with us. We only had basically $100 in the motor other than the trip to go pick it up. So I'm not upset about that. But there, and I did take pictures of this. I just didn't do video yesterday because I was trying to get this stuff done. But there's a diagonal line about an inch down on the cylinder wall that goes from the front of the block towards the back of the block. And all it is just a stain. But once I went ahead and degreased the engine block, and I thoroughly degreased it, on the opposite side of that stain, there's the galley where the lifters go. Okay, so the lifter bores are much deeper in the block, but there's a galley there where you have to go ahead and install the lifters and the push rods pass through. And directly opposite that stain on the cylinder wall, there's a correlating stain that basically looks like coolant. No other place on that engine block in that area or along that galley is there any discoloration. It's just that one spot. And so, knowing what I know, experience that I've had over these years, there's no doubt in my mind that that's cracked. I got ahead of myself when I went ahead and started getting parts together for this. There had been some water in a couple of the cylinders, and the pistons were hung up. I managed to go ahead and get them out, which is why I was going to go ahead and hone it and put fresh pistons and rings in it rather than just ring it. But in the process, I discovered that the cylinder walls on the cylinders that did have water standing in them are pitted enough that the block would require boring anyway. So the brand new pistons that I've got that I already had installed on the connecting rods aren't going to fit because they'll be too small. Regardless of that, like I said, I'm certain that block is cracked. No two ways about it. So I'm going to have to go ahead and find another engine block. I think I've already got a line on one. Matter of fact, it's just going to be a complete motor. And basically what I'll do is I'll go through what I've already done, tear it down, hone the cylinders. It should be a virgin block. But I'm going to go ahead and hone those cylinders out just to make sure they're ready to go. Like I said, I've already got brand new pistons. I already got brand new piston rings. I'll go ahead and put everything back together with the new stuff. The cylinder head's already rebuilt, ready to go, and she'll have a good motor. But it is what it is. You know, if I hadn't taken the time to go ahead and come back in and do a second honing and a good cleaning of the block, I never would have caught this. You know, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't fault the seller of the motor. He gave us the best information he could give, The oil in the block was not contaminated. There was no sign of water in the block whatsoever, or in the oil rather. But when I started disassembling the block, there was just this bizarre colored coolant coming out of it. And basically what it was a bunch of mechanic in a can. Somebody dumped a crap ton of stop leak in the block. And it did have a head gasket leaking. All of that was good. The moisture that was in the motor, excuse me, nose itch. The moisture that was in the motor, the water that was in the cylinders, was rainwater. It wasn't that well stored. It was only in a couple of cylinders. But, you know, we bought that knowing that there was a potential for that. And when I tore the engine down, I didn't figure, of course, I didn't have the cylinder walls honed out, or hadn't started cleaning the cylinder walls up that well to see that it was going to need a bore. Had I gone ahead and done that first, working with the weather and the winter weather and garbage, I got ahead of myself. That's on me for buying the pistons before I checked the actual condition of the cylinder walls. So there's that. But anyway, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's $130 for a set of pistons. It wasn't that big an issue. It was just the crack in the block. I'm glad I caught it when I did. If I hadn't been paying attention, hadn't questioned things, just kept cruising right along, oh, it's just a stain, no big deal. Next week, I'd have been regretting it because we'd have put this motor together, or I'd have put this motor together and swung it into her Jeep. And the next thing you know, I'd be right back where I started from with another motor that needs to go ahead and be rebuilt and start over from scratch. So take your time, check your stuff out. I've got other videos related to the engine teardown on this and where I started doing the work. And I'm going to continue to go ahead and do videos for this to show you where we're at and how things are going. Anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and give a little bit of perspective of what's going on here. And if something doesn't look right, either research it or take it to somebody that can go ahead and give you an answer. In this case, like I said, I could take it to the machine shop and have them Magnaflex the block, but seeing the stain on both sides of that cylinder, that's definitely a crack. So, stuff happens. $100 block's $100 block. Anyway, you'll have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and get back to this gig, and we'll talk to y'all later. This is Joe from not underneath the shade tree right now, but you know. Anyway, y'all stay safe, be good, and we'll talk to you next time. Okay, forgot to mention community, not competition. I'm too early this morning. Forgot to mention community, not competition. Check out Coastal Auto Reaction, Mortsky's Garage. I'm sure he'd have figured this block out. Figured out this block was cracked long before I did. Roy Marco's Garage, Old Car Guy. Check his channel out. Junkyard Digs, Dylan McCool. The channels are out there, guys. You know, check out the new information that's out there. Give these guys a view. You know, give them a thumbs up, give them a like. I do this for fun. My channel is not funded by anybody. Just me and my cell phone doing stupid stuff. Some more than others. Let's see. It's something I enjoy doing. You know, I've been playing with mechanical stuff since I could go ahead and take my dad's screwdriver. And I kind of learned along the way. Share knowledge, share information. You know, sometimes you might see something, know something that somebody else doesn't know. Save them the headache. I mean, just like this deal with the crack in the cylinder wall. You know, if I hadn't seen that before, I guarantee I would have gone ahead and put that engine block together thinking I'd done right and been entirely disappointed and probably wasted a crap ton of money on brand new parts that would have got destroyed because the oil would have been contaminated with coolant in no time, and I'll be back at square one, daughter with a broke vehicle and now an empty pocketbook. And so, you know, it's knowledge to share. I'm sure there's other guys out there that can say, "Hell yeah, Nick's garage." Nick would have seen that engine block and said, "Yeah, that one's done. Start over, buddy." So, like I said, check these other channels out. Give him a view. There's so many more. Straight Six Fan. Give him a view. Katarina's Garage. Check her channel out. If you're into fun and filth, Zip Ties and Bias Plies. Guy cracks me up. Unfortunately, he's far more filtered now than he ever had to be because YouTube. But it is what it is. Guys, I love y'all. Bless y'all. Have a safe day. Be good to each other. We'll see you next time.